Views here on the Spanglish World Network on Zingo TV channel 250. Please remember to download the Zingo TV app at the respective app stores for iOS and Android devices. While you download, make sure you rate, leave a comment. Both apps are absolutely free. Zingo TV is available on Google, Chromecast, Amazon Fire, Fire TV sticks, Roku sticks, and also on all smart TVs 2016 forward. Now, joining me on the show is Aaron William Freeland. Aaron, the brains of the operation. Oh boy. Yeah, my computer has been having fun with me lately, and I'm kind of getting used to it, and I'm kind of enjoying it. I don't know, just so. How do you like my attire?
That's a very nice hat. I think your computer's been giving you some nice little light flares there too.
You know, the mustache, and I look like I belong in Russia. I look like a
Yeah,
Bolshevik.
actually,
I
that's a,
look like
it's a
a
pretty neat
Bolshevik.
look. That's a pretty neat looking shed hat there, Frank.
Yeah. So yeah, and I love the sweater. I'm
Awesome.
ghosting you. I'm ghosting you a little bit. See that?
So it's blue right through the middle, is it, or green?
Aaron always said he could see right through me.
I never
There
know
it
you're
is.
there.
Absolutely. I'm not all there. I'm not all there. All right, let's have some fun and let's start with okay, why don't we go with sports? Let's talk about the Bombers and they signed somebody.
Yeah, so they've signed a defensive lineman, Willie Jefferson, to an extension. He's an all-star defensive end. They brought him back for a one-year contract extension. He was supposed to be a free agent in February, but he's going to be returning for his fourth season with the Blue Bombers. He was named the most outstanding defensive player for 2022. He also was a West Division all-star after leading the club in sacks with 7 and 33 tackles and 1 interception for a touchdown, 2 forced fumbles, and 10 pass knockdowns. So they're getting a very valuable piece of their defensive line back for at least another season.
Oh, absolutely, he's a killer. U Sports. Laval wins the Vanier Cup over the Saskatchewan Huskies. Oh, another loss for Saskatchewan.
Yeah, you got to feel bad for them, but not really. So this is actually the first year with Canada Life as a title sponsor. Good to see Laval taking the victory. Yeah, it was 30-24. So well fought game, well played game. Arnaud Desjardins completed 27 of 36 for 396 yards. Both offenses were, doing well. Laval had 506 yards and Saskatchewan had 469. But the Rouge and O came through when it really mattered. So congratulations to Laval.
That would be a sigh. And sadly, Alfonso Davies scored the first goal that Canada scored at the World Cup. But unfortunately, it was the only goal they scored after, and then allowed 4 to give. Yeah, Croatia beat them, and they beat them. They beat them 4-1. The team did well. It's amazing how quickly all that hard work to get there, and it ends that quickly.
Well, you have to bear in mind as well that not only did they play Belgium, who were highly favored, and only lost that game 1-0 after completely dominating, and with Davies, ironically, the one missing the chance to put Canada on the board in that one, to scoring 67 seconds into the game against the runners-up from the last World Cup in 2018. So Canada did not have an easy draw of it by any means whatsoever.
No, it
And I
was
think they
ridiculous.
they they requited themselves well. They played well. It not obviously the result that everybody wanted. We'd obviously like to see them get out of the elimination round and into at least the top 16. But that's the way these things unfortunately go.
Now, on a good news front, the Davis Cup was won by Canada. I didn't see that
Yeah,
in here. I don't know if you picked that up.
yeah, got that here. Felix Auger Aliassime was fantastic. He beat Australia's Alex de Minaur 6-3 to 6-4 to give them basically a 2-0 lead in Malaga. He produced 16 winners compared to 5 from Alex de Minaur. And basically, that was enough for us to take it. So that was absolutely fantastic to see. Um, Shapovalov also, unfortunately, Shapovalov fell short in a 3-setter against Lorenzo Sonego in the semifinals. But, we've played well enough now to get our first ever win. That, I think, is a huge step forward for Canada tennis.
And there's a big thank you card going to Putin because Canada was eliminated from Davis Cup play. And then because they were the highest ranking team that was eliminated, when Russia was said, you know what, your behavior doesn't allow you to be a part of this, get out. So they were shuffled out the door. They were shown the door, and the door probably hit their asses on the way out. Hope it did anyway. And next thing you know, Canada's back in again, and they go all the way.
Yep. So very glad to see that. It's unfortunate that it took something like that. At the same time, I rather would have beat the Russians fair and square on our way through, but we'll take the opportunities when they come.
Also, looking at the World Cup, the fans at Qatar are a little unhappy. Beer costs.
Yeah, they tried something called surge pricing. I don't know if anybody here has ever used a ride-hailing company, but they have something called surge prices, which increases the price of beer based on the demand for said beer. So basically, as it is, alcohol is only available at licensed hotel restaurants and bars. And if you're an expat living in the country, you can get alcohol on a permit system. But the way that everything's been going, the beers that are on sale around the park are usually going to set you back anywhere from 12 to 15 pounds sterling, which is rather pricey for a beer. The fact that some of those bars have been overcharging based on a surge pricing model means that it is actually possible, however, that some fans can get a 7 to 8 pound beer in between. So we'll see if it continues to work or if they realize they're not making enough money.
Sort of like oil, surge pricing with oil is what they do. The more demand, the more it costs. I guess when you're a oil producing country, everything's based on that and how you do that. Unfortunately, it didn't work out for them in this regard. Saudi viewers are angry about an apparent ban on World Cup streaming.
So apparently in Doha, the Saudi Arabian government has blocked a Qatari-owned streaming service that was actually supposed to broadcast matches inside Saudi Arabia. They weren't able to watch the matches and flooded TOD TV, which is the name of the company. Apparently, the idea is to try to drive fans to the venues to see the games themselves. Apparently, people trying to access TOD's account says, sorry, the page you're requesting is violating the regulations of the media ministry, which is interesting because you'd normally think that if an event is being broadcast in your country, you'd like as many people to see it as possible, regardless of where they live. But
even the Blackhawks learned that lesson.
Yeah, well, hopefully they'll learn in time. There's still another 3 weeks worth of games.
It doesn't really matter. Canada's not in it. I've lost interest. Marner extends point streak. The Maple Leafs beat the Penguins.
So this was an absolute dynamite game. I don't know how many folks out there actually caught it, but Marner now has run his point streak to, I believe it's 14, 15 games now. They beat the Penguins.
Maybe 16.
16, just like his number. There you go.
60.
And they beat the Pens 4-1 on Saturday. Austin Matthews is now the 7th player in team history with 200 career even strength goals. William Nylander scored his 12th of the season, and Pontus Holmberg got his 2nd. The Leafs have now
the coach's favorite.
It's just absolutely fantastic that Marner's finally found his game. I mean, it's been slow and painful, to say the least, for some of us to watch him struggling with it. The fact that they've been without Riley and Muzzin and a whole host of other players on the back end, they were actually playing the 10th player in their defensive depth chart last game, and I'm glad Mac Hollowell had a decent game.
It goes to show how helpful the forwards can be if they do their job. The defensive part of the game, even though they're not called defensemen, they do have a big part to play.
Well, the best defense is a good offense, right? So,
yeah. Well, still, all right. Kirby Dach lifts the Canadians to a victory over the Blackhawks, his former team.
Yeah. So, in his return in his first game against Montreal since the trade, Dach has scored the shootout winner. Montembeault made 30 saves, and that is the sixth game in a row now that Chicago has lost. Things just did not look good for them. Goalie looked off. It just everything just seemed to be going wrong for them. So Luke Richardson, former Maple Leaf legend Luke Richardson, was a little bit at a loss as to explain exactly what had happened. He thought it might have been something to do with their energy level, but they didn't have the legs. So we'd have to see what comes of this.
Senators beat Kings 3-2. Giroux scores on an OT breakaway.
So it was good to see Giroux finally getting some points. You know, it only took 20 seconds. So that's the good thing. It was a very short overtime period. Brady Tkachuk also had a goal and an assist. Alex DeBrincat added a power play goal, and Cam Talbot had 25 saves. You remember when he was injured during the preseason, everybody thought he wouldn't be back for at least 6 to 8 weeks. Well, thank goodness that didn't happen. So he's been playing very well for them.
They need him.
Oh, they definitely do.
Yeah, they need him. The Jets, they're really rolling really well. They beat Chicago quite handily, 7-2.
Yeah, so that was Chicago's seventh loss. Connor Hellebuck made 23 saves on 25 shots. Kyle Connor had connected for a third straight game and also had 2 assists. Scheifele had his team-leading 11th goal, and Jensen Harkins also scored for the Jets. They've won 2 straight and 3 of 4, so they're now 13-6-1.
And they're up there in the standings.
They are definitely up there in the standings, and it's been a tough slog of it for Chicago. It has not been a fun time for them.
Pesce scored his first goal of the season, lifting the Hurricanes past the Flames 3-2.
So the Flames again are in tough. You know, I thought they had it turned around for a couple of games there, but everything seems to be biting them in the butt. Pesce's first goal snapped a third period tie, and the Canes actually managed to end a 5-game winless streak. Seth Jarvis and Marty Nakach also scored for Carolina, which was great. Great for them. Ruzicka and Toffoli on the other side scored for the Flames, who ended their road trip with a 2-3-1 record.
The Oilers scored 4 times in the third period, Aaron, and that lifted them past the New York Rangers, who used to be hot, but they don't seem to be that hot anymore.
No, for some reason the Rangers seem to have gone ice cold, and I'm puzzled as to why. I think I may have frozen on your screen there, Frank, but
yeah,
can you hear
true.
me?
You have, yeah, I can hear you. Carry on.
Okay,
Carry
good. So I used to say that a 2-goal lead was the worst in hockey, but apparently a 4-goal lead.
Leafs created the 3-goal lead mystery.
I'm glad to see that Campbell played a little bit better for them, though. So there's that.
That guy. Some of the memes that are out there, tiny little guy in net, oh boy. The Canucks, Andrei Kuzmenko scores an OT. Canucks beat the Sharks 4-3.
Yeah, so the Sharks have had a bit of a rough go of it as well. Things have not been easy for them as of late. Their uniforms look great, but I think that's about the only thing that has. So it's not a fun day for them.
Well, the Canucks are dealing with the human rights complaint by Rachel Dory.
Yeah, so Vancouver's finally started to play a little bit better, but a former staffer of theirs has filed a human rights complaint alleging that she was not treated very well by one of their VPs. We'll have to see how that goes, but just when it seemed that the Canucks managed to get things turned around and were finally winning a few more games, everything seems to have gone to heck in a handbasket. So,
Alberta Children's Hospital in Calgary to open a heated trailer next to the busy ER. This is the concern we have.
Yeah, this is an ongoing issue that they're having. There have been a lot of people that have blown the whistle about the fact that the Alberta health system is not doing as well as it possibly could. They're hoping to have it operational by early December. The inpatient units at Alberta's Children and Stollery Children's Hospital in Edmonton are at or over 100% of their capacity, which is not a good sign.
BC announces measures to license more internationally trained doctors. That would be along the same theme.
Yep. They've been having a significant bleed off of doctors and healthcare practitioners in the province. So they're concerned about that. They're trying to get more doctors off the sidelines and into clinics where they're desperately needed.
Excuse me.
Bless you.
Bless me. Okay. Quebec, the National Assembly returns with questions lingering over which parties will get to participate. Explain that to me, please.
So basically, what happened is several of the people elected in Quebec basically told the government flat out, "We're not swearing allegiance to the new king, and we're not swearing allegiance to the old queen." We rejected that notion entirely. Eric Duhaime is calling on the speaker to give his party access to some parliamentary privileges. Also, despite not winning a single seat in the recent provincial election, um, their argument for that is, it's not normal that one citizen out of 7 or 8 in Quebec is not currently represented within the National Assembly. So there's that part of it as well.
Well, that just sounds a little crazy.
Yeah.
Um, Aaron, it's now the time of year where I just wanted to highlight something. At this time of year, things get a little tough for people. Christmas coming down, and it gets a little tough on some people. How have you found every Christmas, and when you found a Christmas that maybe wasn't as pleasant, or this time of year? It doesn't have to be Christmas. This time of year, while everyone's happy, have you ever had to deal with any kind of depression or any kind of terrible situation that maybe just short term? We're not talking long term here. And how have you found dealing with it, or you know, what do you think people should do? What advice would you give to someone?
Well, there's a lot that goes on around this time of year. It's starting to get darker earlier. It's the weather is crappier, obviously. I mean, that goes without saying. It is supposed to be the most wonderful time of the year, but for a lot of folk, and so on occasion for myself, it's been difficult because there are mounting pressures and expectations. And while some individuals are a little more well off than others, other individuals who may be living on a more paycheck to paycheck basis can find it harder to make ends meet. They might find themselves dipping into reserve funds. They may find themselves overdrawn. It's a difficult time for sure. Add in losses of family members due to age or illness, and this can be an incredibly stressful time for a lot of people. Um,
Absolutely.
I've I've found one of the things that helps me the most is the fact that I have a fantastic support system around me. I have a lot of really good friends that I can reach out to if I need to. It's this opportunity to just sit down and talk to some of these people that has helped me out a lot when I've had my own issues with this sort of thing. There are also increased resources that are available for individuals who are going through this sort of thing. And I don't know if you've ever suffered from this sort of thing, Frank, but there's always a certain stigma, especially for men, that's attached to reaching out for help. And it's one of those things where I finally decided that I needed to get myself more involved on a more active basis with Movember and with what's going on there, because it looks after men's health, not only physical but also mental. So it's a huge boon to men to be able to do this sort of thing. And the fact that we're actively working to try to break down the stigma around asking for help, especially at this time of year, is so very important. What do you do when you find yourself in difficult situations?
Well, I've been there. I've been there and done that, and suffered through depression and some really dark times. Um, I can't tell anybody how to solve their problems, but what I can do, what I can offer, is always keep in mind there's somebody that you can talk to. All right, that's the first and most important thing I think could help me get through it. The hardest part of depression is that you feel alone, you feel shunned, you feel like not part of anything, you feel like you're not liked, you feel like you're not worthy of being around anybody else. And that's why, to me, the most important thing is reaching out to friends. Um, all that stuff that you said, Aaron, beautiful. That stuff's perfect. I'll give another piece of advice that I think also is important that I've come to realize over time. Ridding yourself of toxic relationships. I'll let people define what a toxic relationship is. I won't tell you what a toxic relationship is, but I will tell you how it makes you feel. It makes you feel less than equal. It makes you feel like crap. Um, and the best way to deal with, you know, people the power to be toxic in your life is to remove them from your life. The sad truth is the cutoff area can be anywhere from mother and father into stranger. You have to determine yourself. People have to realize, learn, figure out as best they can the people that are toxic in their life. The reason I said what I said as far as the spectrum of people that can be toxic in your life is because there's a dedication, there's a subscript that happens to people who are depressed. There's a small part of them that they make really big. And that small part is that we feel like we deserve to be treated that way. If you feel you deserve to be treated less than perfect, then you have to ask yourself why you feel that way. And then just figure out if, whenever I'm around these people, I always seem to feel really low. Try taking a step away from them. I'm not saying yell at them, tell them they're good for nothing, you rats, you make me feel. No, no. You just step away, take a breath. It's like stepping outside while you're in an argument. You go, you know what? I don't want to argue. So you step away from the person you're arguing with, go outside for a walk or something, and then you can try to figure out what happened. Anyway, we've run out of time. I think that pretty much tells it. Thanks for your side on that, Aaron, because I think at this time of year, it is really hard to be feeling always good because there's so much going on and there's so many people that are needy out there and there's so much that people expect to be given and we feel obligated to give, and if we don't have enough, because that's what you were alluding to as far as finances are concerned, we may not have enough money to give, or so don't feel bad about that, folks. Give to the point you can. Don't feel bad about the rest. You really shouldn't. And take care of yourselves. Look in the mirror, pay attention, listen to yourself, do self-checking. Make sure that you're okay this time of year because everyone deserves to be okay.
Indeed.
It's a tough world. We're only here to support you. All right. He's Aaron William Freeland. Thank you, Aaron.
Thanks, Frank.
I'm Candid Frank Stanisci. Thank you for watching Candid Frank live, airing Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This show can also be heard in the Spanglish World Network. For Candid Frank Live, other news, entertainment, and sports programming we offer, please check out SpanglishWorld.ca. Spanglish World. Watch it, hear it, read it, download it, and live it. Thanks for watching already. Ciao for now.